Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And as you know, as I released a little snippet there, Backstreet Boys came out with their Christmas album just yesterday, and of course I had to give it a listen. And I've listened to the whole thing. I have these notes here that I took down. Hopefully that this will serve me well as I go through them, and then I'll just kind of give my overall thoughts. And as most of you might know, if you just scroll through my content, you would know that I have been a BSB fan since I was a kid. Discovered them in '99, and I fell in love with the harmonies that I heard from the radio, and that was I Want It That Way, and I was hooked on their sound since, and I've been a fan since. And I am a big fan of their music. I actually study their music, trying to figure out their arrangements. I'm a big harmony guy, and that's what really drew me to this group and groups that are like them from that era later on in life. And groups like Boys to Men and NSYNC, 98 Degrees, and some of the pop, R&B, 90s harmony groups, which are the groups that I really enjoy. And even got the shirt going. The shirt's garbage, the print is garbage. Be careful where you buy your shirts. I do have another nice Backstreet Boys shirt that I got from Hot Topic on the website. Anyway, so we'll go through this, and hopefully this video is all right. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I try to write down in note form just my quick thoughts on each track, and hopefully if you're watching this, you've actually heard the album. So we'll start with that now. Alright, so first on our list was White Christmas. What I wrote down was I found it to be fun, classy, harmony presence, which is something that I really found I would be looking for in a BSB album. And I wrote okay, so I guess, I felt like the song was alright, and that I give it a like. Second was the Christmas song. I personally like that song, just like the way it goes. Again, I wrote okay, so I guess I found it to be an alright song. Had a decent arrangement. Background vocals, a lot of background vocals. I will definitely be impressed with the background vocals. That will usually sway me. Third, Winter Wonderland. Okay, so this was the a cappella piece, and so that's something that really I really wanted, and I've talked about that before in past videos when I venture off and talk about hearing the future projects of the band. The bands of their era, let's say the 90s groups, the harmony 90s groups, Boys to Men put out a Christmas album, 98 Degrees put out a Christmas album, NSYNC put out a Christmas album. Excuse me. And they all had a cappella pieces and these arrangements. Now, they did an arrangement, which is nice. I'm happy that they're trying to get back into doing more harmony-focused stuff. So I wrote down it's fun, but I also wrote that it's not this massive showcase. So what I'm trying to say is the a cappella arrangement for the most part is somewhat easygoing, and I'm not trying to say that there isn't any intricacies, if that's the right word. Hope we use that word right. But this is something my brother told me, and it's just a lot of the bass line style vocals for the most of the arrangement. Like a doom 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 doom. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like this easygoing. Of course, I did write it's fun to have this kind of like rhythmic type a cappella scenario, it's fine. But I guess I put this band on a high pedestal, especially coming out of an era where harmonies and the arrangements were such a big deal, and displaying such a showcase, that of course I would love that this group could match something of like NSYNC's "Oh Holy Night," which was such a complex arrangement with different areas of the song, making different themes almost of how they would be doing a vocal, some bass lines, interactive vocals, very complicated vocals, and making this epic vocal piece. Which I mean, this one doesn't really do that overly complex, massive arrangement thing. However, I did write at the end won me over. So they did have this interesting end where they actually did make sure to have this kind of complex conclusion to the song, which really did sway me at the end. It's like, yeah, we will showcase some intense harmonies here. And again, not to say that there wasn't any throughout the whole song, but again, I felt it was more of an easygoing a cappella piece. But again, I will definitely be very thankful as this was something I very much desired. There's a beat, but that's fine. Sometimes you just want to have a beat to make it more up tempo and something you can move to a little, and nothing wrong with that. But and I'll show you. I couldn't resist. I was trying to figure it out. What are they doing at the end right there? Because I could hear some complex stuff. I don't think there's the perfect five part, as I like to try to figure out if they are actually doing it. However, something I did like is that you can, if you study it, all five members are doing something, and this is something that the group has been kind of guilty of, which some of the fans of the boy bands, the NSYNCs, the Backstreet Boys, they'll compare. NSYNC were very much interested in keeping people in their slot and having their role, where BSB not so much all the time. You can have people sharing melody. You don't always have to have a bass, stuff like that. Whereas NSYNC would have their members with their designated spot and keeping that sound, a very high guy, a very low guy, and filling the gaps in between. Where in this arrangement, you can hear that the members, at least in parts, you can definitely study and hear that all the members are having a role, and which I really like. So it's not just a wasted member just singing the same things as another guy, like try to find something for them. As you can see, I'll show the clip. I was trying to find a perfect five. I don't think there is one. And from what I studied, perfect four, which is nice. Trying to come up with different vocals to make it loud and wide and interesting. I even have an example of what they could have done. There's lost potential. I just find it impressive when you can find a spot to use all members differently, at least in one section. And it really makes it cool and unique that you have the five different vocals doing something different, at least somewhere in there, and be like, yeah, that's what we did. So I'll show you that right now. Land. Land. See, and I feel like there's kind of that lost potential there. And this is kind of nitpicking just because I'm a harmony fan, and I have these fantasies of actually producing for the band and trying to come up with cool ways I can use each member, and I think about that a lot. Yeah, I would love to do that and see what I can come up with, but that's just a sweet, sweet fantasy, baby. So I've been on that song for a while. Let's move on. Let's see. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. So I wrote Not Gonna Lie. I was very confused who was singing in the beginning. You don't really hear the person singing the way they do. I would think it's AJ, but you don't usually hear them singing like that. So it was like, who's this guy? I really didn't know. But I had to wait it out. I'm like, okay, it sounds like him. I wrote nice and classy. And I guess that's all I had to say about that one. Last Christmas, I wrote that it's okay, does what it needs to do, and there's a harmony presence. Number 6, Oh Holy Night, I wrote a nice blissful listen, and again, harmony presence. This Christmas, I wrote that it's funky. Again, harmony presence, and that you really hear members shine in the song. Like, I guess doing some intricate vocals, solo work, and it was really nice to hear. The next one is I'll Be Home for Christmas. Again, harmonies. Brian really got to shine in this. I've talked about also in videos that he's not a useless singer. He does really wrestle with the vocal issues. However, he's still capable. He knows how to sing. The problem is the middle tenor esque range where he's really having trouble. And you can catch him in the high falsetto range, singing pretty strong. And I think even the low range, he can sing relatively strong, and then high belting, he can sing pretty strong. But unfortunately, solo work is typically in that kind of like mid-range tenor stuff. However, you can really use him still and showcase some very skillful singing. So in this song, they gave him the opportunity to go into high falsetto, doing all these impressive runs, and just making a nice vocal display of what he can do, despite the vocal challenges. And God bless him with that. I hope that it's getting better somehow. He has been dealing with that for quite a long time, and I feel for him. But again, he still has the opportunity to shine. And I'm even thankful that they're still using him with his vocal abilities. We do have editing. We do have editing that can be done, cutting, slicing. I know there's some pitch correcting as well, and I don't think there's any problem with trying to splice some of our beloved band member into doing what he loves and singing and making it sound pretty decent. So like that's cool. That's cool. I dig that. Where am I here? Same Old Lang. This is an interesting song because it's a story. It's an interesting piece, and that's what I wrote. Just an interesting story. It's something very different, and okay, cool. Let's make something different. Never heard this song before, so I assume it's an original. Good. I want to hear a lot of originals. The something that bothers me a little bit with Christmas albums is they want to rehash the old stuff, and everyone wants to hear it. I want to hear it too, but let's come up with the originals. Let's start new classics. Down the road, this will be kind of the 50s Crosby songs. I don't know if they ever will be as classic and familiar, but let's start a new trend of, new music that will become the classic Christmas songs. Let's do it. NSYNC is already doing, they did a great job with the Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'm hearing people repeat that, and that I think will become a classic, and that was out of the late 90s, which is pretty cool, and which is not, well, I mean, it's over 20 years now, but it's not that long ago, if you know what I mean. So we can come up with some new stuff, and I think we should definitely give that a shot. Where am I now here? So we have Silent Night. I wrote that it's a nice listen, and you can really hear that there's bass vocals in that, and I've always valued that because let's use each vocal range if we can. That like make a nice full sound to get a guy that's way up there and a guy that's way down here, and let's make a full sound. I really dig that, and you'll definitely be using the bandmates to try to cover the ranges and harmonies. Together, track number 11. I wrote that it's upbeat and dancey, so sometimes it's nice to have a change, to have more of a dancey song. Next one is Christmas in New York. What did I write here? Oh, I wrote nice to have HD, which is Howie D. So I guess you really get to hear him. If I'm not mistaken, he started the song, and it's just nice to hear him have time to shine. And they're really having other members shine. We know in decades past they wouldn't sing as much, some of the other members, but it's nice to hear them really get time to deliver. I actually think that became better over the years. I don't know whether it was the the lack of opportunity to have him do solo work, which then when he had the opportunity, I feel like some of the vocals that he was doing wasn't, they weren't standing out too much, but at the same time, they weren't giving him much to work with anyway. But I feel like in recent decades, like there's so many years, in recent times, he's definitely showed himself to be more of a stronger singer, someone you can rely on, especially now that Backstreet Boys have evolved. And Brian has his vocal troubles. They will want to distribute vocals more often, as he was kind of the one of the main players there. But it gives them another opportunity to shine and get their time, and it's cool that they're still together and they have that opportunity. Whereas before, I know that record companies will go about wanting to market the bands in certain ways, who has the pop friendly voice that people will gravitate towards, that kind of thing. And I guess this is the last one, number 12, Happy Days. I wrote It's Okay, a lot of BG, which background vocals, and Dancy. So again, another one to dance to. So I guess I covered all of the songs here, and I hope you enjoyed me going through them, but I'll give you my overall thoughts. So of course, I am so excited and happy for the group that I grew up listening to. And I remember playing with my Ninja Turtles and with the Millennium and Black and Blue in the background, just blasting out of the stereo that my grandma bought me, and just having a good time. And this was the band that I really loved. And of course, I'm happy that they are still putting out stuff and they feel inspired, and I'm so happy for them. Now, my personal opinion on the album, I do rather enjoy it. When I listened to it, I wasn't so disappointed. However, I do hold these guys to a high standard, and especially those who really listen to me. Something that, and I've seen people making comments, the auto tune in this album is pretty unforgivable. A lot of it sounds very robotic, and it really takes me out of the experience. Like, I'm trying to stay invested, but you can just hear it. And like I was just saying, I for the most part, I rather enjoyed this album. And I know that's become industry standard to use autotune, and I don't even really have a problem with pitch correcting situation. You know what I mean? However, when it's overused, it becomes very obvious, and it just takes you out, and it sounds fake. I remember hearing The Last Christmas when it first came out, and you hear Kevin come in with his vocals, and the line where it goes, eyes, it's so trying to correct a vocal that didn't work, and it just still doesn't work. And I'd like to think that the members are skilled enough to just take another take. I don't see why they have to really cater to studio time for just an easy retake. Singers can retake. Half of me is wondering whether the autotune is so prevalent to make up for Brian and his vocal troubles. But even then, I believe, and I know it might take a few tries, but you can probably get some good takes out of him given the opportunity. Especially in the studio, he might be more confident there than on stage, where he's live and really has to give it all he's got. Where you can do retakes and he can do it. But I don't know. Maybe they have the producers and engineers who are skilled enough to do the cuts and edits and even some pitch correction to make it blend with the rest of the band. But to me, it was unforgivable how strong they had the autotune presence. It's just too much. And you can just take Kevin's voice from 1999, put it with the current music, and it's just like, and of course I know he's older now, but no problem. You can still take good takes. He's still a professional singer, but you compare them and you just hear this crisp voice versus, unfortunately, somewhat of a more robotic sound. and it really bothered me. And I've seen in the comments of my subscribers, it really bothers them as well. I don't know why they have to have it so strong. I feel like that. I don't know whoever's doing the production. It's like, oh, it's a pop band. It's a boy band. So expect polish stuff, and that fans are just in for the feel good music. Someone like me who's heavily invested in the actual production, arrangement, performance. It would bother someone like me. It's not just you just throw it on and then that's fine. And I believe in the guys that they can do the vocals and make good takes. And instead, whoever was doing the production, engineering, producing, they were just fine with slapping on this, let's sleek auto tune stuff. It's like, again, I have no problem with it, but when it's overdone, it's so obvious, and it's takes you out, takes me out. I can hear it. And it's just like, oh, like it's cringy. Again, and that's quite unfortunate. Something else is that, again, I enjoy the album for the most part, but what I'm about to say is, especially for like the acapella piece, they've had bands who are in a similar genre or in the same genre, bands who are kind of brothers, let's call it, the Boys to Men's and the NSYNCs, and you know, and I'm very happy with a lot of the arrangements. There was a lot of vocal arrangements, background vocals, harmonies, and dang guys, thank you for giving us that and bringing that back, that feel that there's vocals everywhere. We're a harmony group, we're a vocal group, and we're going to put as much background stuff to fill it up with our members instead of just kind of feel good pop and we just do some vocals, maybe a couple harmonies, and that's it. But a piece of me is like, I I do think that I don't want to say competitors, but their fellow bands who are in the similar genre, they really put out some really rockin' stuff, like some really good stuff. Their Christmas albums were pretty solid, and I mean, especially in the acapella stuff, because I really dig the acapella stuff. I would love for them to try to analyze and see what complexities did my fellow harmony bands were doing out there, and let's see what we can do to match that and make something maybe even cooler, something more complex. And I really think because no one's really in their lane right now, Boys to Men still around, and thank you for being around still. But I guess they have more of that mainstream appeal, especially being a top selling pop group. No one's in their lane. They can just go ahead and, I don't know any of the 90s pop groups that are really prevalent on the scene right now. Their last album did pretty well. But I would love for them, they say competition is can be healthy because it makes you better. And some of those Christmas albums from the 90s they're rock solid. There was some solid stuff, some impressive harmonies, and yeah, I just like, as far as the feel of making an album such as this. But again, I'm heavily directing this at the acapella arrangement, just because I can see that they had it in their minds to make sure, let's put out a vocal performance where we are showing you that we are this harmony group. But again, it would have been nice to get something that can compete with like NSYNC's "Oh Holy Night," which I think, as far as boy band harmony arrangements, has not been beat. Boyz II Men did some cool stuff, but it's sort of hard to compare because NSYNC has 5 members and they can do a little bit of more things there. However, Boyz II Men, of course, just beautiful stuff. But I can't help but sit down and be like, comparing the other Christmas albums, and I mean, and it could just be me being stuck in the 90s sound. However, I really enjoyed this. It's very classic sounding. Of course, they did try to make it modernized here and there, but it was something I feel like everyone could get into. And I'm relatively happy with it. Again, The auto tune action is just over the top. Yeah, I personally think this is their best album since Never Gone. Which it's, I don't want to be mean, but it's kind of sad because this is not like mainstream stuff. You only listen to this like a certain time of the year. I think this is, I would personally like this better than all their albums since Never Gone. Like, I really tried to like the last two, but they just kind of fell flat a little bit for me. They had some good stuff in there, but ultimately it just wasn't feeling it. I didn't find those albums that impressive, and yeah, I think this is their best album since Never Gone. I'm really pleased that they're bringing back very strong harmony presence arrangements. Even they've said that. I'm really thankful about that. So I don't really like giving scores because then I feel like I'm going to change my mind later, and if I might have with the other stuff too. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't even know what I would give it. It's kind of like an 8 or something. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening to it, especially that they have that harmony presence and they're bringing that back. And yeah, but again, there's some stuff that I was kind of disappointed with. The acapella stuff, I'd really love them to go back and try to make these more complex, big arrangements. They did, uh, again, like I said, at the end there, they really won me over a bit with making a nice conclusion to the piece. However, I would really love for them to be like, let's try to meet and match NSYNC's "Oh Holy Night" and really do something cool. But maybe next album, hopefully they're thinking about making another one. I know they're still on their DNA tour after all this time, and I know COVID hasn't helped with that. But of course, I'm always expecting and excited for new content from them, and I'm happy that they did, and that we got this Christmas album, and I will be listening to it during the Christmas season. And it was not a bad time. It was not a bad time. Just some little nitpicks there. And thank you for bringing back the harmonies. So that's my video. Hope you enjoyed it, and you guys know that I'm a big BSB guy. And yeah, these videos are usually a little longer, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, so peace and love and ice cream cake. God bless.